Hello, welcome to MCFC 9320 Group TV. Got an absolute belter for you tonight. Not is he only the funniest man on the planet, in my opinion, but many people's opinion. Not only is he a hero of mine, he's an absolute mad City fan as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy this, Mr. Jason Manford. Hello everybody, tonight I am delighted to welcome the funniest man on the planet after me, Jason Manford. Jason, I'm only joking, you are the funniest man on the planet. And I'm not just saying that, it's an absolute pleasure to catch up with you tonight on your busy schedule. What are you up to these days?
Well, that's very nice of you to say, but no, there's a lot funnier people than me, but it's very nice to talk to anyone, if I'm honest, mate. Do you know what I mean? At the moment, it's just nice to do anything a bit different.
Yeah. So you say there's funnier people than you. Who do you think's the funniest person you've ever met?
Ooh, well, obviously there's classically funny. There's funny who are, people, my heroes, people like Billy Connolly and Peter Kay and those sort of people. But then there's people you work with, you end up on a show like Would I Lie to You or something like that. And my God, trying to keep up with Lee Mack is, that is on another level, So there's people like that as well. So there's, lots of funny people. That's the good thing about comedy, most people who you would imagine are funny are also really funny in real life. But there's just the odd person is absolutely hilarious. And certainly Mac is definitely one of them.
And next time you see him, tell him he's a Blackburn fan, isn't he? He hates City, by the way. I've heard him crucify City about
I feel like Lee's
all our wealth.
I feel like Lee's not that bothered, to be honest. He'd probably just done it to wind somebody up.
Yeah, absolutely. So how you found lockdown? It's well documented that you did a lot of charity work, and I know from the people who know you, that's not just a publicity stunt. That was actually a heartfelt thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's the job I'm in is a privileged job, really. There's lots of people doing my job who don't get to make it on television and don't get to do these things. So you do find yourself with you have a bit of influence. You can make somebody's day just by saying hello. So there's lots of moments like that which are very special about the job. So I guess certainly once the lockdown kicked in, trying to help out, certainly in my little village, my little corner of Stockport, I thought, well, it's the least you can do, really, because as you know, my business, the business of show and the theatre, well, we were the first things to go, and we'll be the last things back. So I certainly had enough time to film, and that's what I did.
I caught one of the interviews what you did where you said, especially sort of like the older people, they didn't recognise you. Was that more of a buzz because I know you wouldn't have been doing that for publicity. Was that more rewarding that people was just great?
Yeah, it was actually. It was nice to get out of the house for one, and especially when you got 6 kids and they're not at school. It was an absolute treat to get out of the house and do something else. But yeah, there was definitely a bonus in the fact that nobody, you got your mask on, and like I said, they were an older generation, so a lot of them didn't know who I was. And so it was just nice to chat to lots of people. And what you find is that everybody's got a story to tell. You've just got to ask the right question, and I'm a nosy sod. So it was a real treat to find. And some of the stuff you find out, whether it was what they did in the war, or, relationships they've had or places they've been in the world. It's amazing what you can get out of somebody in even a 10, 20-minute car journey. It's especially if they've been stuck indoors and not been able to talk to anybody for ages. So yeah, it was a real treat. And actually, I didn't really, if anything, I sort of went the other way. I didn't really talk about it a lot in, obviously in public. There's a little bit on my Facebook to my page, fan pages and stuff like that. But, and I've had phone calls from news sources or, whether it's newspapers or local news channels. Oh, can we interview you for this? And so, and I think, no, I I don't need to be doing that.
And
Obviously,
that's
it
what I'm
comes up in
saying.
conversation because it's
Yeah, that's what
interesting.
I'm
But
saying. You wasn't doing it for the publicity, and that's credit to you. So some of the conversations you've had with some of these people, I should imagine you take parts of that and put it into your comedy.
well, I certainly will imagine that at some point the experience of doing the job will, make its way into some sort of comedy, whether that's in my stand up or some other form of writing. But yeah, it was. If anything, it was just an absolute joy to do it, really, and I still do it now. I mean, I'm back at work now, but I still get emails from the Stockport Car Scheme every week, and for my availability and that. And occasionally, I'll just say, "Oh yeah, I'm actually free on the Friday, so I can do a couple then." And so it's been fun.
That's brilliant. Like homeschooling, you touched upon it then. I bet that was challenging, wasn't it? Because you've got. And by the way, I always see things in the media where there seems to be so like not an obsession, but how many kids you've got. Some people, oh, it's 5. Oh no, it's 6. Have you?
I know they always mention it, don't they? I suppose it is unusual. Let me just move that. Sorry. I suppose it is unusual to have 6 kids. I get that, but no, to be honest, homeschooling has certainly been challenging for me and the kids. But actually, if I'm honest, this is time that I would never have taken off work to spend with the kids. And so I'm actually very thankful. Certainly not, the reason that it happened, but the fact that it happened and I got to spend so much time at home and sort of recheck myself a little bit actually and go, do you know what? You don't have to work this much. You can take a bit of time off from time to time and spend it with the kids. And, I don't know if you've got kids yourself.
Yeah,
Maybe you have, maybe not. But
I've got 2, and you're absolutely spot on, Jason, because I'm finding more and more community spirits are coming back and stuff like that. I've been lucky enough. The job I'm in, it's business as usual for me. I've been in work all the way through this. But
and what do you do?
I work for a delivery company as a manager. So.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. So it's just been the norm for me. But I know, like some of my friends and stuff like that. I know it's been really, really affecting them, psychologically and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, mental health will be the next pandemic off the back of this pandemic. So it's really important to, to make sure you're finding that time to, whether it's just 5 minutes to yourself here and there, but it's going to be a big one, and to keep talking about it. That's the thing for me. I've got mates who I know I can ring if my head's absolutely battered, and I think that's really important.
No, but like you say, you're spending time with the kids, time where you probably wouldn't have got, and it does you reevaluate life, because on New Year's Day I was touch and go. I almost popped my clogs through COVID, so that's made me.
Wow.
Like normally I work 6, sometimes 7 days a week, and it's just my perspective on life's totally changed, and it really does. You suffered with COVID as well. How did it affect you?
To be honest, I got away with it. If it not been on the news, I wouldn't have even known what it was. It was just a bit of a cold, and then the taste and smell thing. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have even mentioned it to my wife for fear of being
battered,
being called man flu. I lost the smell and taste thing. That was weird, because you'd think the fact that you couldn't taste anything meant you were like, right, well, we may as well eat some vegetables now, because you can't taste them anyway. May as well eat some good stuff. And I didn't, just kind of eating crap. I thought, what am I doing here? You're only eating a memory. Right? You can't even taste the bloody thing. But yeah, no, I got away with it, to be honest. And actually, my family are all still here. My grand's 97 and she's survived it. So yeah, thankfully, touch wood, we've been pretty lucky in our family when it comes to that sort of stuff. It's more the, and even with work and stuff like that. My mum, she lost a job, but then she ended up getting a job with a track and trace company and stuff like that, and doing all that. My dad's a janitor, so he's sort of been furloughed on and off and stuff. And my sister's in Australia. She's absolutely living the dream, mask free, and they're all fine over there. So
yeah, a mate of mine, he should have been emigrating to New Zealand 2 days. New Zealand went in lockdown. 2 days less or more, I should say, it'd have
Oh,
been in New Zealand, and he's still not even got a date to go across there. So it's things like that, like say with mental health and stuff like that.
oh.
Let's talk about some of the things you've been on. Masked Singer. That must be fun to film.
God. Well, it was funny because obviously we filmed it well before the pandemic, and then everyone was wearing masks all of a sudden.
Yeah,
So it felt pretty,
you've set the
pretty
trend.
topical, yeah. Yeah, clearly. That was great. I mean, great fun, really silly. I very rarely do any shows like that are sort of celebrity based type shows, but it just looked such a laugh. And I love singing, I love performing, and it just gave us a bit of freedom. You know, being in that mask and nobody knowing it was you meant you could just sing and perform in a way that you probably wouldn't do if people knew it was you, because you feel that you were, that they had a sort of an idea of who you were and what you should be doing before you did it. So yeah, it was a real treat actually, and I love doing it.
Because you've done serious stuff as well, like Scarborough and stuff like with Darren Litton and stuff like that. Do you prefer the
Sorry, I
more?
missed that, Andy. Just say that again. You cut out there.
Oh, sorry, pal. You've done more serious stuff, like things like
Sorry.
Scarborough and stuff like that. You know, for Darren Litton, and you know, I've met Darren a few times and stuff like that. And he's actually affiliated to City as well now. He loves Sergio Aguero, by the way. I don't know if you know that. He's got proper man.
Oh, I didn't know that. Does he really?
Yeah. So
well, I think we've all had a crush on Sergio
I
Aguero
still
over the
have.
years, haven't we?
I still have, mate. I really have. You've got to, haven't you?
I read a horrible story today where they were saying that Manchester United might nab him at the end of the season when he's out of contract.
There's more chance of me being a stand-up. Trust me, that will never happen. So, speaking of football,
no, it can't. It can't. That would break my heart. That
Soccer Aid. How was that?
Yes.
Did you score a penalty?
Soccer Aid. My goodness. Well, I didn't know. I scored a couple in training. In fact, I scored a few goals in training. I thought maybe I'll be up for one here when it comes to it. But squeaky wheel gets the grease on that pitch, and if you're not throwing yourself in the gaffer's face, you ain't getting picked. So, and I'm not that sort of person. But it was a right laugh to do it, and it's just interesting to see the celebrities that take it so seriously,
like your Paddy
that it
McGuinness.
almost verges. Yeah, Paddy's not too bad actually, but your sort of Ollie Murs and Mark Wrights of this world, they're basically doing whatever their job is now, singers, presenters, or whatever, because they weren't footballers. You know, in their heads, there's still a chance. I think even Mark has signed for a non-league team and stuff. So
Crawley Town.
yeah, they really. It's like that's right.
Yeah.
So they take it really seriously. And then there's people like me, Lee Mack and Tom Davis and people like that who are really there just for the crack and to meet some heroes and to get to play at a massive stadium like an Old Trafford or a Stamford Bridge or whatever. So it was a real honour again to do it for a great cause and just an absolute brilliant weekend.
Well, I was going to say privileged to see you actually take a penalty live and miss. I think it's still in orbit. It was in a charity game. I think for Blue Watch organised it a few years ago, and you had to retake it and equalised. So we was going to win until you stepped up, and we equalised. I was on a winning team up until that moment. So thanks for that, mate.
Well, that's the way the game works, I'm afraid. It takes no prisoners. But I tried to play a bit, and I try but you get into it when you get to an age, I think, and I don't want to judge your age as well. I know I'm sure you're the same. When you get to an age where like real players have retired and are now managers, you start to realise that maybe it's not the sport for you,
We've still got it up there, haven't we?
We play.
We've still got it there, but not down.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
like the Tizier, you know what I mean? I don't do much running, but I'm always one step ahead. But no, me and my brothers play and some mates. We've got a little team. We play on a Friday night. When we're not in lockdown and stuff like that, and we get absolutely battered every single week. If it's not double figures on the other team, it feels like a victory. So, but you
Taking
just play
part
it
what
because
counts, apparently.
that's what they keep telling us. But I'm yet to feel that.
Mm.
It still riles me every single week. But no, I love it. I love it. And to be honest, like anything, like going to the match, like playing football, it's just an excuse to socialise, and it's an excuse to get out with your pals and with your family and have a good time.
It is, and that brings us nicely to God's own team. What do you reckon of the season so far? Did you think at the start we're going to do nothing this season?
No, I never think that was City, if I'm honest. Not recently, I think last year was a blip, if anything. Um, there's one player that separated those top two teams last year, and that was Van Dijk. That was the difference, was having a solid defence for Liverpool last year, and that's what made the difference between the two teams. I think if we'd have signed Van Dijk when he was up for sale, I don't think anyone would have touched us for 5 or 6 years.
Like this season with Diaz.
I think exactly, and that's what the difference is. We got talent in spades everywhere else, but it was just that defense, wasn't it? It just wasn't working out for us. So I see last season as a blip rather than going, oh my God, that's it, it's the end. I just thought that was that one season. They were absolutely out of this world, Liverpool. There's nothing, there's nothing you could do. But really, it was that one player who made all the difference.
And I think what hindered us a little bit is we came straight back from we didn't even have a pre-season. We came straight back from the Champions League. I think that we had a week's break and then straight back into it. I think when we started going on our winning run, that's when we just started to get into the groove. Like I've just been watching, I don't know if you've seen it, a bit of the Belgium game. De Bruyne has scored an absolute beauty.
Was it nice?
He's playing a masterclass, and he couldn't do that at the beginning of the season because he was absolutely drained. So we're getting the fruits of that now.
Yeah, I think they are knackered, but I think the one team who can never really complain about it is us, because we've got the depth of squad to rest players like that and bring players who are just as good. I mean, De Bruyne is exceptional, but you've got people on the bench. We're not going to get any sympathy from people to go, "Crikey, we're tired this week," and so I've never used that as an excuse. I've always just gone, you know what, that was one off season, and now we're back. And the good thing about Pep is he's always, he's tactical genius, isn't he? So he's always thinking, right, well, how can I do this? I've done this for a couple of seasons. They've sort of found us out a little bit, so need to change this.
I'll reinvent it, and that's fair play. Because how many teams have you seen historically what don't even play a striker, but who do you pick up? Who do you pick up?
Who's your mark? Yeah, of course.
And that's it.
It must be a nightmare.
All little diddy men running about. You can't pick them up. So
I know. And look at the players who've come. Mahrez has come out of nowhere almost. It was last season. I was thinking he's not got a future here, to be honest. And now when he's in the squad, you're like, oh, thank goodness, thank God, Mahrez is playing. So that's what's been great about it. John Stones, he looked like he was on his way out, and he's back. So it's I think it's there's definitely a moment with Pep where he's obviously put his arm over a few people's shoulders and taught them back into being brilliant footballers, which we know they are.
It's weird, isn't it? Because you're right. You touched upon Mahrez. Then I'm finding myself going, why is he not starting Mahrez?
I know.
Did I really say that? But
I know you wouldn't have thought that this time last year, would you?
No, and again, that's his Pep's methods are just going into, because it took Sterling about a little bit of, say, 3/4 of a season to get used to Pep's methods. So I must admit, I thought we would struggle without David Silva, but the emergence of Foden, everyone was saying he's going to be David Silva's next in line.
Yeah.
But nobody thought he could. It's almost like he's like David Silva on speed, because
he's young, isn't he? He's so young. He's I was so gutted not to see him start the derby, because I really think that would have made the difference. Having a local lad who who just knows, just knows how much it's worth. And I know the players know how much it's worth. I don't mean to patronise them, but when you're local, and that I think that would have really made the difference. And I really think it would have shook United up as well to see him there.
Did you think he would emerge this good so soon, straight after David Silva?
No, not at all. But then, I guess it's the sort of person you are, isn't it? And he's obviously got that personality because you've obviously seen a gap in the squad. You know that that Silva's moving on, and the team, the squad has got is got the money to replace him. So you've only got a finite amount of time to state your claim. And you've got other players obviously in there, and obviously, Bernardo's come in, who's played exceptionally well. Gundogan's knocking goals in for fun. So he sort of only had this season, I think, to really go for it, because we know as soon as it gets to the transfer window again, if nobody had filled that slot, well, we'd have just thrown 60 million at it and we'd be back, So it was. I think he's done really well for it to be this season,
Like this talk of Grealish coming in, that rumour's not going away.
Yeah.
It's a weird one for me, that, because he's a great player, but I see him as a big fish in a little pond. Not to patronise Aston Villa, football club, but the position they're into where we are at the moment. I don't think
the golfing. I think the golfing, class from, well, not just from City and Villa, but just I read something about Danny Ings as well the other day as well, and I thought
I think I know why that one, actually. The physios. If Aguero goes, the physios must be bored, so they'll need somebody to replace Sergio on the table, I think.
I'd be disappointed if we don't get Haaland. That's who I want. I'd be gutted, and that's not just me with my, football manager, sort of playing the computer game head on. That's just me going, he is absolutely out of this world. And he is a big fish in a small pond, even though they're in the Champions League. He needs to be at one of the top three teams. And if he's not at us or Barcelona or PSG or Bayern, at least, in the next couple of years, then he's wasting his time, because he's absolutely fantastic.
I think that puts us in a good position, though, with Haaland, because I don't think the Real Madrids can afford him now. The Barcelona certainly can't. Bayern Munich, PSG, but I think he's gone on record to say that he wants to play in the Premier League. And there's only two clubs who could afford him, really, and that's us and Chelsea. Yeah. I think his ties... And here's a funny one. There's something going around that he would never sign for United because of what Roy Keane did to his dad.
I mean, that sounds like something some football fans have made up, but I would love it if it was true, because I would love it. I did read that Manchester United might be in for him, but yeah, I'd be really shocked if by the start of next season, up front isn't Haaland or Mbappe. That's the sort of class we need. To really push on and nail that Champions League if we don't win it this season.
Yeah. Do you think that's the end of Aguero for us?
I think so. And I also, a bit like David Silva, I also think that you want someone to go out on top, especially if we're able to replace him. He's an absolutely fantastic player. He's broke record after record after record. I think it's respectful to a player to give him a choice at this point and see what he wants to do next. If he wants to stay, then happy days and keep him. But if there's something in him that says, you know what, I actually want to play, my last season in this country, or want to play for this team, or I think it's respectful to when you've had a servant like that who's absolutely nailed it season after season, to say, do you know what do you want? What can we do for you?
Absolutely, yeah. So he's always said he won't leave City until we win the Champions League. Not a million miles off, are we, pal?
I feel like we've been here before with this quadruple chat, but
13 games season, away, 13 games from the full sweep.
And can you see anybody, other than in Europe, obviously, one game here and there, suddenly Spurs turn up on the day. Who knows? You don't know what goes on there with the cups. The league's obviously won. Champions League, it's just feels like an absolute lottery, But we've got a good draw for this next round with Dortmund. I think that's totally winnable. They've only really got two players, I mean, they've got Reyes as well. That's probably unfair to say two players, but two players who would get into our squad. Is that fair to say? Would you think
Sancho and Haaland?
Sancho, yeah. So I'm thinking Sancho and Haaland, and at a push Reyes.
Reyes, and there's a link for him to come as well to us in the summer. Yeah, with the option to keep him there for one more season, and then bring him up.
So they're a good team, but they're not our level. So we should get through to the next round. PSG, I think they're totally beatable if we come up against them.
Hot and cold.
They're still there. They're still there and thereabouts, aren't they? I'm trying to think who got knocked out recently. Who went out? What big team went out recently?
Barca are out.
Barca, that's right. Barca went out, but I'm not worried about Barca anyway. And if we did come against them, Bayern are the ones, because Bayern, they don't care who you are. They've got no respect for any team, for any history, for any money spent. They've got that sort of classic German efficiency.
They can score penalties though, Jason.
They can knock in penalties, to be fair. Yeah, well, it's hard. It's hard when you're in the moment, mate. I'll tell you. But yeah. So I think it's a great chance, and you've just got to believe, haven't you? You've just got to believe that this is going to happen. I think as well, from everybody I've met who's not a United fan or a Chelsea fan or a Spurs fan or whatever, met so many mates and supporters, football supporters across the country who just sort of want it to happen because it's never happened.
Correct. Yeah, I'm finding that as well, because it's been a weird kind of season, and without a shadow of doubt, fans not being in stadiums has affected results, because across the top 5 leagues in Europe, there's never been so many away victories.
Well, because the home thing's gone, hasn't it? It don't matter anymore, because you could be playing anywhere, So and I think it's affected a lot of clubs. Weirdly, and this might be going against the sort of the grain with City fans, but I don't think it's affected us. I don't think it's affected us as much, because
we've got no fans, empty seats.
well, it's certainly rammed in there. I don't buy into that. But I've got to say, some weeks me and my dad are sat there going, God, it's quiet. It is quiet here, even with the singing section and all that. And I, it pains me to sort of use Liverpool as an example. But if you have ever stood in the Kop, or been there, it's a world of difference to the Etihad, and we need to work that out and work out why that is. When you go and play abroad away, a few years ago we went and played. We were in Seville and we went over to that game. There was another game in Germany that we went to, and the atmosphere, it was actually intimidating as an away fan, not in a dangerous way, but just
that was Dortmund, wasn't it?
It might have been Dortmund, actually.
I think it was Dortmund.
But it was something about the way the club and the fans worked it out. The music, the sounds, there was instruments in there. There was, it was just so well organized, and it just made a world of difference. And it did make you think, oh, God, we're in for it here.
Do you think safe standing should start being introduced?
I think so, yeah. I think we've all learned a very, very valuable lesson many, many years ago. And I think it certainly is something that could be brought back in. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a sit down. So I will not be signing up for standing anytime soon. But I know a lot of people like it and prefer it. And there is something about it that, that is good. But it just obviously, we can't make the mistakes of the past, and it just needs to be policed properly. And hopefully, that might help. But I also think there's a way of the club just being a little bit more in tune with the crowd and I think all that stuff outside, with the city square and all that, I think that all helps, build it up. But how do you get to the point where you're in tune with the guys meeting up at Mary D's in advance to go, right? Let's do this. Let's in the 12th minute, let's do this. Like, is there something we can be doing that's a bit more,
Well, I know
it's like even with the announcer, if you go on.
The United fan announcer.
Yeah.
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 Well, I know 1894 group do a hell of a lot, but that
Yeah.
it's fund restricted as well. With all the banners and stuff like that, they do an absolute cracking job. I know a
Yeah.
few of the group there, but it's not enough. But you'll like you've used examples of
A few
Germany.
years ago, they asked us to come in and I was doing some bits for City TV and we were doing a little documentary and various things like that, and it came up in conversation about match day announcer. This is probably about sort of 8 or 9 years ago now, and I said, you know what, I would love to do it. I said, but you've got to give us a bit of freedom to have a laugh and to, and I'm only there for the home fans. I don't care about the away fans. I don't care about the away players. There was a point in Germany, I remember one point where we scored a goal and the announcer, even in German, I could tell he was being sarcastic. The announcer went, and the winner for and the scorer for Man City is Sergio Aguero. Like, he said it in such a like arty way. And I'm not saying go that far, but I just thought, wouldn't it be great if you could just really go for it on the day, like in a sort of wind you up way, without getting people, kicking off? But you could just get people having a laugh and fired up for your club, the home club. It feels like the announcer and everything around it is still very neutral. And we don't want it to be neutral. We want them to be ours.
Yeah, and that's where it should be. It's us versus them. The best one we've had, Jason, at half time is Mike McLean.
Yeah, Mike's great.
Yeah, he's. I know Mike quite a bit, and
yeah.
He, sometimes you like that. Oh, that was near the knuckle. The way he's taking the mick out. But it was never nasty, malicious, or anything like that. It was there to generate it. And I know Mike doesn't do it anymore for reasons we can't go into and stuff like that. However, I agree with you. That's what it takes, because that gets you into good spirits as well. Not just at half time, but even before, even before the game. Even they could take the City Square inside or something with Danny and Nat.
Yeah, and Danny and Nat do a cracking job, and we actually come early now to to watch them do the stuff and the interviews and the music and all that, and it's really great, and it does make it much more of a family environment, which I love. But I just wonder, is there another? Can we push it on ever so slightly, and just make it really fun and a laugh and not intimidating, like I've said about the Germans, but just certainly in a way where you just
want to
go, do you know
intimidate
what?
him.
Let's actually be a place. Yeah, let's be
Hostility.
a place you do not want to come because we're so loud and up for it and into it. That's what I'd love.
Mm. When are you next on tour, buddy? Are you looking about
head out on tour middle of August? Yeah, middle of August. We'll be heading out on tour, and just hope for the best that we stay out on tour, and then we get it done and touring all of next year. And it's just, I actually feel genuinely that it might get to a point where I get in front of a crowd again and just burst out crying.
Yeah, I've heard that on sort of.
I really do, like even joking apart.
Yeah. And it's just to interact live with people. Oh
my God!
It was a speaking to. I did an interview with Henry. I think it was Henry Winter last week, and he was saying, when he went to a match, when they allowed fans in for, I think it was about a week or something like that before we went in lockdown and stuff. Yeah. He said, I forget what game he said now. He said he walked through and he seen stewards greeting the fans, crying, the emotion, just to interact with people and stuff like that. So people shouldn't, underestimate how emotional it is going to be.
Oh, I can believe it. I can believe it already. I'm more, I feel even now I'm writing my show and sort of imagining, the moments of being on stage and telling my jokes and getting laughter, because performances are one thing, and I love performing, whether it's musicals or singing and stuff, but stand up is something on another level, because what you've done is you've promised somebody joy,
Yeah.
and you've promised them joy, and they've been looking forward to it for months. Nobody's bought a ticket at 5 to 8. This ticket has been on their fridge for, what will now be nearly 2 years from when they first bought it. And so they come along with such a weight of expectation. So for when you match their expectation or even beat their expectation, and they leave with tears in their eyes and they've had a great time because they've laughed, it's just the best feeling in the world. And I have missed it to an unbelievable level. So yeah, I will imagine, but whatever my first gig is, I can't remember where it is now, but wherever it is, I imagine there's going to be a few minutes there where it's going to be hard to even start.
Might be in Dortmund.
You never know. Yeah.
So, are you allowed to tell us about the show you're filming at the moment?
I'm doing a show called Unbeatable. I'm filming up here in Glasgow for 3 weeks, so we're doing 4 episodes a day. Every day, so it's it's pretty full on schedule. Bit sad that I'm in Glasgow on at a time where it's not open, but at the same time, probably a good idea to get an early night, and certainly don't wake up with as many headaches as I have in previous stays in Glasgow. But it's a new game show, a new quiz show, sorry, for BBC, and it's made by the guys who came up with Pointless. So fingers crossed. If it's half as successful, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. So, as a Mancunian, Jason,
yeah,
is it a chip muffin or a chip balm?
I 100% would go with chip balm. How on earth you can call it a muffin when muffins have got chocolate chips in them or blueberries? You must be mental.
No. If you think about it, you go to McDonald's, a sausage and egg McMuffin. Come on.
No, I'm not having muffin.
You're a Mancunian. It's a muffin.
Well, maybe it's different in South Manchester, but it's always been a balm where I'm from. Muffin, I go chip butty more than anything, if I'm honest. So, but no, I'm not having. In my head, muffin will always have chocolate in it or blueberries. So I would definitely not put chips anywhere near that.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Carl. I genuinely has. It's and because I know you're busy and you've been at physio and stuff like that tonight. So I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure all the, not just City fans, but when it goes out this, it'll be well received, and it just shows what an absolute top fella you are, and the world's best comedian.
Hey, you spread the word, my friend.
I will do. Thank you very much, my friend.
All the best. Best luck with your podcast, mate. I hope it goes well. They're an important thing in these difficult times, that people still get to connect to somebody with similar interests. So I hope all your fans and all the people who listen to it have enjoyed this episode.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you very much, my friend. Cheers.
So there you go. That is the brilliant Jason Manford. I'm sure you agree. What an absolute top bloke he is. Not only that, is a blue as well. He's actually one of our own. If you like what you've seen, the interviews and stuff like that, you can catch us on YouTube, where this will be going out to, plus various other social media networks what we have. Subscribe, which will help us massively. Until next time, guys, stay safe. Bye bye.